Do you agree to be recorded for academic purposes for this discussion?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so our first question. What are the major themes or plots of drug representation in the chosen media? Which would be American Gangster.
Yeah, American Gangster. I don't know. Some dude got a lot of heroin from, what's it called? Vietnam.
Well,
Soviet.
maybe Thailand, maybe Vietnam.
That
It
was,
wasn't specific. It was the Vietnam War, but the guy was based in Thailand. Anyway. Okay, so like when I say themes, we're talking about overarching like characteristics. Like I would say a major theme was the idea of power
yeah.
and race and how they work together. Yeah.
Corruption.
So what did you think it had to say about power?
I mean, towards the end of the movie, it was a lot of stuff about, like, what's the one guy? The one guy was just like talking about how a black guy couldn't do all that because he.
Yeah, that's when it was more obvious, and I think that kind of contributed to his overall success. Was that
because they underestimated him.
right? They always assumed it was like the Italian crime families, and that a black person wasn't able to acquire that much power in their society.
They were wrong.
They were wrong, which goes to show how he played that to his advantage. But as far as it connects to drugs, though, obviously the person who controls the flow of the drugs is the one who has the power.
Like in June. Oh my god. Perfect.
Sure.
It is.
Okay. Yeah. But with that being said, Frank Lucas, I think really the key to his power was his idea to go directly to the source. Because even you were talking about the scene, like, oh, it couldn't be him. They want to know who he's working for.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting. That he kind of subverted racial barriers. Also, even with the people in Southeast Asia. They wanted to know who. Everybody assumed that as a black man, he had to be working for someone.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting how he sought out the source of the power, which in this case would be drugs.
Drugs.
Yeah. Okay. How do your partner and you think the director handles the issue of drug use, drug dealing, addiction, violence, etc.?
Handles it very well. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just does it.
Well, I thought the director went out of his way to highlight just how violent of a person Frank Lucas was.
Pew pew.
I mean, I think one of the most powerful scenes in the film was when he shoots the guy in the middle of the street
Point blank.
while having a family breakfast. I think one of the director's key points in this was to show us just how linked together violence and the drug trade has become. Do you think that Frank Lucas could have maintained his power as he did without being as violent as he was as a person?
No, because he had to prove himself. Everyone was just like, I'm not going. Once his the one guy died, his mentor died.
Bumpy.
Yeah, once he died, everyone was just like, we can do what we want. So he had to prove that he could keep power.
Right. So what you're saying is that he had to use violence in order to maintain order.
Yeah.
In order to have his operation function.
To have his cake and eat it too.
What did you think of the drug users that were portrayed? There were a couple cutaway scenes of people using drugs directly.
I think it showed how his business, how he has devastated a bunch of lives. There was one scene where, I don't know if it was a guy or a girl, but they were I think they were dead, and their baby was sitting right next to him crying. So it showed devastation and how bad what he was doing was.
Yeah. I also think too that the director was trying to show us how widespread drug use was, with the fact that even the police in the early scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have
The junkie.
the partner junkie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Third question. Why do you think? What do you two think is the director's message regarding drugs?
That they're not good.
Yeah, but I think it's a little more expansive than that. That drugs have such a powerful hold over people, and thus controlling their flow is directly tied to power. And that in the end, this is all just a power grab between different factions, whether that be different gangs or the police, who are, at least in this time period, actively involved in the drug trade themselves. And also that different factors matter too, like the quality of the drugs, the price. Really, the economics of it
Yeah.
is tied to the power aspect.
Power.
Does this film or book evoke memories, fantasies, or nightmares? And were they effective in making non-drug users understand these fantasies or nightmares?
I feel like nightmares? Question mark?
I don't.
I think
It's a
so.
long movie, but
3 hours.
I don't remember any specific scenes that were like that kind of fit that description. I guess it's a fulfillment of a fantasy with, you know, the acquiring of the house for his mother.
Mommy.
Yeah. But I don't think it was anything too vivid. I think this would more fit your choice of Cheech and Chong. That question
Yeah,
would
no,
be better for that.
Be amazing.
Was the film or book didactic? That means, did it have a moral? If so, please explain, including if you or your partner believe it was effective. So what do you think the moral of the story was?
I don't know, like, I don't know.
I would say that a moral of the story was that the concept of honesty is more complicated than it appears on the surface, right? Because our detective, he believes he's a very honest person, but then his ex-wife makes it very clear to him that maybe in his police work he's honest, but
He's been fucking,
yeah,
on the side.
but in other ways not so honest. I also think
I think she.
that at some point Frank Lucas thinks he's an honest person as well. That he believes that, you know, selling the highest quality stuff for the cheapest price is in a way honest work. And the way that he takes care of Harlem, like he was taught to by Bumpy,
Yeah.
he believes he's honest as well. And we see that these two different ideas of honesty run directly contrary to each other. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not like.
And then we see characters who are inherently completely dishonest,
Mm-hmm.
like with the cop who regularly threatens Frank Lucas.
The one that gets his car blown up.
Yes, and kills himself. Yeah.
Not that.
So I think there's a lot of characters who kind of run the spectrum of honesty, and I think that's kind of a key moral. Oh, you're gonna like this last question.
What's the last question? I do like.
Well, we've already been recording for about 10 minutes,
Oh my god.
which it's only required before, so we're like way over that.
Doing too much.
Okay. Would you recommend this film or book to anyone who wants to learn more about the drug trade? Why or why not?
I mean, if you want to learn more about the drug trade, yeah. I mean, sure, because it has at least the drug trade in the 80s. Or, no, it was in the
70s.
70s.
Yeah. It's really the 60s, actually.
I mean, I'm just saying,
I believe it's like the 60s and 70s.
It's-
Well, it started in 1969, his importing business.
it's around the same time as Forrest Gump, so.
Just the wealth of history there.
I mean, if you want to learn more about the drug trade, yeah, but I wouldn't recommend it in general. I don't know.
It's fine you didn't like it, but I think, yes, as far as the drug trade is concerned, I think it really delved into a lot of more than just drug use. I don't think that was really the main premise of the movie, but more the socioeconomic factors
How you make
that are
your
inherently
money.
tied. Yes. How, the importance of controlling the source, how it spreads, how it's maintained.
Mhm.
A lot of the movie featured in how he maintained his operation through rather violent means. Anything you want to say in conclusion?
I think Cheech and Chong would have been better, but I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
Uh,
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.